Good morning, everyone. Today, let us discuss about defining and non-defining relative clause. What is a clause? It is a group of words containing a subject and a verb which form a sentence or part of a sentence. For example, I can't cook very well, but I make quite good pancakes. If I take a part of a sentence, that is, I can't cook very well, here I is the subject, cook is a verb. And this particular part of the sentence can stand by itself. Therefore, this clause can also be a sentence. I make quite good pancakes. Here, I is the subject, make is the verb. And I make quite good pancakes can stand by itself. Therefore, this clause can also be a sentence. Here, two parts of the sentence are joined by coordinating conjunction, that is, but. What is a relative clause? Relative clause shows relation, and it always starts with relative pronoun who, which, that, whose, where, when, whom, and why. For example, if you take the sentence, the man who called you is my dentist. If I omit relative clause and say the man is my dentist, here I'm not giving the exact information or the complete information. Now, let me include who called you relative clause in the sentence. Here, who talks about the man who is my dentist. So, who defines the man who is my dentist and gives complete information about the man. What is a defining relative clause? Defining relative clause gives definite information, whereas non-defining relative clause gives additional information about the sentence, and here comma is seen, whereas in defining relative clause, comma is not seen. Let us talk about defining relative clause. Here in this sentence, the dentist who treated me is my uncle. Let me omit relative clause and say the dentist is my uncle. Here I am not giving the complete information about the dentist. But when I include relative clause who treated me, here who refers to the dentist who gave me treatment is my uncle. And you do not see comma in defining relative clause. If I talk about non-defining relative clause, my uncle is a dentist, comma, who plays at the same cricket club as you. If I simply say my uncle is a dentist, here the information is completed and we call it as a sentence. Who plays at the same cricket club as you is giving additional information about my uncle. As I said, in defining relative clause, no comma is used. Here, if you see this sentence, there is no comma observed. Whereas in non-defining relative clause, you see comma. The relative clause is preceded and followed by comma. Let us check some more examples. Who is usually used for people? Generally we say, who are you? Who refers to people. Here in this example, the woman who lives next door is a doctor. Who refers to the woman who lives to my next door and she is a doctor. If I simply say the woman is a doctor, this sentence doesn't give complete information or exact information about the woman. But when I include relative clause, who lives next door, who refers or defines the woman who lives next door to my next door and she is a doctor, which refers for things. For example, if there are two books and I ask you a question, which book is yours? Which refers to things. Here in this example, Brian works for a company which makes computers. Here, which refers to the company in which Brian works and this company makes computers. Whose refers to anybody. It may be a man, a woman, or a group of people. We met some people whose car had broken down. Here, whose refers to some people whom I met and it says that their car had broken down. Where refers for places. Generally, we say, where are you going? So, where refers for places. What is the name of the place where you went on holiday? Here, where refers to the name of a place where you went on a holiday. Let us talk about few examples which refers to non-defining relative clause. Here, in this sentence, my brother Tim, who lives in Scotland, is a doctor. If I omit relative clause and say, my brother Tim is a doctor, the sentence is completed. Who lives in Scotland is giving additional information about my brother. Another example, Brian told me about his new job, which he is not enjoying very much. If I simply say, Brian told me about his new job, the sentence is completed. Which he is not enjoying very much is giving additional information about his job. Next sentence, Sam, whose car had broken down, was in a bad mood. If I say Sam was in a bad mood, the sentence gives complete information and the sentence is completed. Whose car had broken down gives additional information about Sam's car. Jane has just been to Oxford, where her dad lives. Here, where her dad lives is the additional information about Jane's dad. Relative pronoun can define the subject or the object of the verb. For example, if we take the sentence, the picture which hangs on the wall is old, here which refers to the subject. If I simply say the picture is old, it may be any picture. It may be the picture which is on the table. It may be the picture which is on the cot. But when I say which hangs on the wall, definitely talks about the picture which is hanging on the wall has become old. The man who she married is Spanish. If I simply say the man is Spanish, it could be any man. But when I specifically say who she married, exactly talks about the man whom she married and it is telling that this man is Spanish. Here, the man becomes object and who refers to the object. Here, the building, comma, which is very old, needs repairing. Here, relative clause is preceded and followed by comma. If I simply say the building needs repairing, the sentence is completed. Which is very old gives additional information about the building. And the major difference which we see in non-defining relative clause is we find commas in a sentence. The boat's owner, who we've just seen, loves meeting people. If we omit relative clause and say, the boat's owner loves meeting people, the sentence is completed. Who we've just seen gives the additional information about the boat's owner. This sentence, the students who passed the test had a party. In this particular sentence, this is a non-defining relative clause. Here in this picture, if you see, all the students passed this test and they had a party. The same example which comes under defining relative clause where no comma is observed. The students who passed the test had a party. It talks that there are definite number of people who are encircled here had passed the test and had a party. This is a difference between the defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Another example is, for example, my brother, comma, who lives in Scotland, is a police officer. Here, it says that I have only one brother who lives in Scotland, is a police officer. If I say the same sentence in defining relative clause, my brother who lives in Scotland is a police officer. If I say like this, I have more than one brother, and I'm specifically talking about the brother who lives in Scotland is a police officer. That is a major difference between the non-defining relative clause and defining relative clause. I hope you understood this concept, and I want you viewers or my students to write any 5 examples that comes under defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Thank you.